Love in the background. I've tried to do that with my computer, but somehow it doesn't work. I'm not sure why.
All right. Let me see here. Where else would you rather be than a Zoom full of Penn Staters? I'm Paul Clifford, CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association, and I want to welcome everyone into the Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. You know, what you can expect to hear are the voices of Penn Staters and the passion that they have for the institution on Coffee Hour. And what you can expect to feel is pride and the power of the Penn State network. We are recording this session and we'll be editing and sharing it with other Penn Staters so that they can also be inspired by the stories that we share on Coffee Hour. And boy, do we have an inspirational story to share with you today. I'm joined by Ellie Jean, a Penn State women's soccer alumna. Welcome to the show, Ellie.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Yeah, let's start right at the very beginning. You grew up in the shadow of a national soccer powerhouse in Connecticut at the University of Connecticut, and yet you picked Penn State. Why? How did you become a Penn State Nittany Lion?
Yeah, so funny you bring that up because my stepdad was the assistant coach for the men's program there, and my mom works and she was the athletic advisor for the men's team there, as well as a lot of other of the UConn athletic teams. But yeah, I live about 20 minutes from UConn, so it's basically been a huge part of growing up. I always went there for soccer games, hockey games, all sorts of sporting events or events happening. And I really wanted to branch out. I didn't want to stay close to home. I've been kind of one to go far from home and see where that gets me. So during the recruiting process, I was approached by Penn State, ended up going there on a couple visits, loved it, and kind of went with my gut and chose it. And I'm so grateful and happy that I made that decision. And yeah.
So walk us through a day in the life of a women's soccer player at Penn State.
Ooh, day in the life. Okay, so it's really different from being in season and out of season, two totally different kind of environments. But in season, we usually would train in the afternoon, and we are always on the road, a lot of traveling, obviously, because we're just in season, and there's a lot of energy around the excitement of getting to play a lot of games, getting to travel a lot of different places, working as a team for this common mission that we have of whether that be winning Big Tens or winning the conference or trying to go to NCAAs. There's always a ton of energy around the season, which I always loved, obviously. So yeah, in season it was obviously very different than out of season, but in season it was a lot more, I wouldn't say low key, but obviously a lot more focused on just the season happening. So right. You go to class, you go to treatment, you train for, I don't know, 2.5 hours maybe, we have lift, and then that's it, and it's kind of on repeat until we have games or all of that. Spring season is very different because obviously it's not really a season, it's kind of just friendlies and everything. So the spring is really tough just because we're waking up at 5 a.m. for our morning workouts, and obviously those are brutal in itself, having to wake up early. We're doing a lot of runnings, doing a lot of lifting, and Kara Lowry, who was basically our like development leadership person, we'd have a lot of meetings with her just to discuss leadership, how we can continue as a team to develop individually our leadership styles, all of that, how that all intertwines to create the Penn State women's soccer team. So we would have a lot of those meetings in the spring. But the spring was very different than the fall, just in the fact that we could socialize a little bit more. We weren't under a lot of pressure of the season. So two very different environments, but I have to love the season better just because we get to play and we got to show our stuff. But yeah, wow, I loved it. I'm so upset that I don't get another season, and I got an extra one. So
That's right.
I'm too upset about that. But yeah.
Yeah. So you came to Penn State in 2015. You talked about the extra season. We'll get to that in just a couple minutes. But what is one thing that you wish you knew in 2015 that you know today?
Wow. Yeah. Um, I think one thing is to really not compare yourself to others and not compare your journey to somebody else's journey. And I wish I should have known that. And I think, we were all players coming from great areas where we were all great, and then we're all coming together to be great together. But you start to compare yourself to maybe some of the players next to you who are obviously your teammates and you love them, but I had a lot of self doubt, and a lot of comparing myself to those next to me, and it really kind of hindered a lot of my first year there. And I mean, it was still a great year, right? Because we won the
Right.
national championship and everything. But yeah, I think that everyone's journey is just so different, and to not be like, oh, look at what she's doing, I feel like I need to be doing that, or like, why am I not in that position, or what am I doing wrong? But like, it's just your journey, and own that that's your journey. And I wish I would have just been like, okay, this is a path that I'm on, and it's going to look different from everybody else on the team. um, I wish I would have known that. But obviously, as I grew up, I started to learn, okay, I'm in a bigger scheme, but at the end of the day, it's my individual journey, and I just got to run with it. It's not going to look like everybody else's. So that was something I certainly wish I knew earlier, but obviously I learned as I went along. Um, and, and yeah, it was great. You're bringing up a lot of memories right now.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about those memories. I imagine that not only do you think about this as an individual, but Coach Dombeck probably has this on top of mind, right? She's got the ability to go out because of where the program is and recruit and compete for the best players in the country, right? So it's just she's getting the stars off of every club team, the stars off of at every level, and is trying to bring those student athletes together to become a team, right? To take 20 plus individuals and make them one team. What was it about her style that kind of instilled not the you versus your teammate, but the you versus yesterday kind of mentality, right? You're competing against yesterday's version of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, Coach Dombeck, she's one of the most unique coaches that I've had the chance to be coached under. She was amazing and great. I love her to this day. We talk not all the time, but occasionally. She obviously has her life and I have mine, but
Right.
yeah, she has a special place in my heart. But yeah, she really tried to make it a very supportive environment. Team, all about the team. Team comes first. What's your role right now within the team, and that can change. That can change day in and day out. She was really great about, you can want to be great individually, and you can want to be the best in the world, but it doesn't really mean much if you're not helping those next to you as well get better every day. And she always used the quote, iron sharpens iron. So you want to play with the best to be the best, okay, you're going to train with the best. And the more that you want to get better should be the more that you want the next person next to you to get better, and feeding off that energy both physically and mentally. um, but yeah, wow, she was amazing. And obviously it was a very competitive environment because we have the best of the best coming to
Right.
play on this team. And she always put the team, she always talked about the team first, which obviously at the end of the day should be what it's all about. And obviously we had our ups and downs as each season was different, but yeah, iron sharpens iron. And she always had this quote. It was, to compare yourself. I can't remember it exactly, but this goes back to the comparing like your journey to someone
Right.
else's. It was like, to compare yourself is to steal joy or something from the process or something like that. and to this day, those quotes kind of stick with me, to kind of make me like, oh, okay, like this is kind of an individual thing, but at the end of the day, it's about like me wanting to get better and wanting the people next to me to get better, because at the end of the day, that makes our team better. So all of those types of things.
Yeah. This is the Penn State Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. I'm Paul Clifford, and I'm joined with women's soccer superstar Ellie Jean. So let me run down some of the accolades here, okay? 2015 national champion, all Big Ten freshman team, 5-time Big Ten champion, 4 NCAA appearances as a player. The team obviously made it 5 times as well. Talk about, out of all of that and out of all the moments, what was your Penn State moment?
Oof, wow, my Penn State moment. I don't know if it can be summed up into one moment. I think that for me, it's not really about the accolades, but it's about like the relationships and the family that I was able to create there. And I'm so grateful and blessed that I chose Penn State and that I was able to experience culture and a family like that. And obviously we all have our ups and downs, and at one point I really relied on my teammates and my coaching staff as kind of my second family, home away from home, and I couldn't have been more grateful that they were there to support me in my ups and downs. But I don't know, I feel like at the end of the day, it's those relationships that you form, that lasts a lot longer than all of the accomplishments that you have.
Right.
To this day, I talk to a ton of my former teammates. We have a lot of little group chats that we stay in touch in. So that's awesome, and it just illustrates, you know, how you can make friends of a lifetime there, and that means so much more than winning, or, you know, being recognized in a certain way. But yeah, I feel like I can always rely on them, always count on them. We had great times, so that's what I really treasure.
Yeah. So you talk about relationships, right? And I found a quote from Coach Domback. She says when she's recruiting players, she looks for a come with me teammate, right? And she said that very much described Ellie. Certainly Ellie wanted to be successful, but it's most important to her the success of the team. And not only does that seem to describe the culture with Penn State women's soccer, but you know you're also in a community. You're close with your teammates and the women on your team, but you're also close with other student athletes. And that kind of description, at least to me, seems like it describes many student athletes at Penn State, that a lot of them are as individually accomplished as you could find. And yet when they come to Penn State, they're all willing to give a little bit of that up for the greater success of the team. What is it about the culture at Penn State that that kind of fosters that?
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, I don't think I was always a come with me student athlete originally. Obviously, I think that's something I learned, but I was always very individualistic in high school, because it was kind of just me. Like I was kind of the big star and everything, so I was always like, okay, me. And then I got to this big school and I was like, whoa, like it is not just me. And I'm really grateful for that lesson, obviously, and that's something totally learned. And yeah, I've learned along the way that to be great, it's not really only just about you, but it's about all the people that you can bring with you and teach and learn and learn from. And yeah, so I just wanted to point that out, that sometimes it's a journey to get to that point, and I've certainly went on that journey, but I'm so grateful for it and all of that. But I think in the greater scheme of things, just the culture of Penn State, it's at the end of the day, like, I don't know, you see all the people who are coming out to watch the games, or everybody at the football games, and it's just like, wow, like everybody just like wants everybody to succeed. And I think, I don't know, that was just something that I always felt there within the entire community. Everybody wanted to support everybody else, like sporting events, and oh, what are you up to? What am I up to? All of this type of thing, and I think it just illustrates like this. My parents describe it as kind of like a cult, like a Penn State cult that we have, because they feel like they haven't really experienced a type of environment like that before. Whenever they would come for the soccer games, or they actually never got to a football game, but when we would have like a soccer game Friday and then Sunday, and there was a football game on Saturday, it'd be like, this is the craziest thing we've ever seen. We've never seen anything like it. And I just think the culture of like, oh, you're a Penn Stater and I'm a Penn Stater, like that's legit and enough in itself. I think that that is really cool. Like wherever I go, I almost see anybody that has like either a Penn State logo in their car, who's wearing like a Penn State shirt, and I'm like, yeah, like
Yeah.
it's kind of a cool thing. But yeah, I think the culture is just like we're a huge family and we want everybody else to succeed, and yeah, I've really enjoyed being a part of it and learning about the culture
Yeah.
and embracing it.
There can't be a better environment in women's college soccer than Jeffrey Field on a Friday night before a football game,
Mm-hmm.
right? I
Yeah,
mean, it's packed. You got, we've gone to those games where basketball team is there. All the other student athletes, like you mentioned, are there. Students are back on campus. The sun setting and reflecting on Mount Nittany. I mean, there's no better environment for college soccer than that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, because our training room and everything is out of rec hall, so
Right.
obviously we're a little bit closer with the other teams that are in rec hall as well, like men's wrestling, women's and men's volleyball, men's soccer, obviously. So we'd always see a ton of them at our games, just because
Yeah.
it's those relationships that you form in the training room and everything. But yeah, it was always awesome to feel that support. And we tried to reciprocate that as much as we could at all the other sporting events. But yeah, it was
Absolutely.
really cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, we could go down a whole other path with the hallway that your coach's offices are on. I know Erica and I have talked about that and the pressure that she feels on the Hall of Champions, right?
Yeah.
She's actually made the comment, I only have one national championship,
Oh my.
compared to the other coaches, and it's mind boggling because um, most people would do anything for only one national championship, right? So. Yeah, so
Right.
she calls it the Hall of Champions, where her office is. So, in addition to your time at Penn State, since 2014, you've also repped the red, white, and blue as a member of the women's national team.
Yeah.
You've played at almost every age group level that the women's national team has to offer. You
Yeah.
played in the 2016 U20 World Cup. Talk about what it means to you to represent your country playing a sport around the world.
Wow. It is such a surreal feeling, and I feel very blessed and grateful to have had the opportunity to represent our country. But it really is just a surreal feeling. I can't really put it into words. The U20 World Cup was amazing. You don't get another experience like it, really. And we had the opportunity to go all the way to Papua New Guinea, which was really crazy in itself. But yeah, I'm so grateful that I've been able to be in the system and to have a lot of great memories, experiences, and been a pleasure to travel all over the world and to really experience a lot of different cultures, understand kind of how great we have it here in the United States a little bit. Um, but yeah, wow, it's a surreal feeling, and
Right.
yeah, I hope I can do it for as long as I can. We'll see.
Absolutely. Talk about that decision. Um,
Mhm.
you just won a national championship, and it wasn't just your decision, right? There were four other women on the team that also were at Penn State at the time. You
Yes.
have the chance to come back and potentially repeat as NCAA national champions, right? And you make the decision to redshirt and play and pursue kind of the national team dreams that you all probably had since you were first starting off and watching Mia Hamm on TV and all that. Talk a little bit about that decision.
Yeah, obviously it was not an easy one, but it was the support from the coaching staff was amazing, and obviously in the national team we were all of the other girls from other schools were trying to figure out what they wanted to do as well, and I don't think that we could have had better support because I heard a lot of experiences at other schools where there wasn't as much support from their coaching staff and all of that type of conflict. So yeah, when I myself and some of the other girls were telling coach that we were seriously thinking about not returning for the 2016 season, she kind of like didn't even flinch, and She knew that this was something that we all wanted to pursue, and she had faith in us. And she was like, "Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is about your guys' journey, and you get to choose that journey." And she was so supportive, along with everyone else in the coaching staff, which was great. But yeah, it was a little sad because we did get to go back and train in the 2016 preseason with the team. And that was when it kind of hit me. It was like, oh, I'm really not going to be here this fall, because we were there for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks maybe,
Right.
and everything. And the opening game happened, and we were in the stands, and I was like, okay, like I made this decision, and now I have to stick with it. And obviously I had a whole another thing to look forward to. So that was in itself. But yeah, it was really difficult to not be with my teammates that season, but we did stay in touch, which was great. Watched both our games and their games and everything like that. So there was still a huge support system. Everyone was reaching out and everything, which was amazing. But it was really great to have that support from Coach Dabbach, and know that they wanted us to succeed, and they wanted us to
Yeah.
do well, and be able to make that decision ourselves, and either not have it made for us or be like pressured into a decision that maybe we didn't want to make. So I was very impressed by the way they handled it, and very unselfish of them, to be honest. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was a great experience.
Yeah. And boy, were we excited that you all did come back early and train in the preseason with your team, right? That it was just a brief moment, but that was the first time that you and I had the chance to meet. We had a great opportunity. You took a picture with my daughter, Abby, at one of the soccer games, you and Maddie Nolf,
Yeah.
which was a big deal for her. She was really excited about that. But it seems like the coach's reaction. First of all, I think it probably helps that Erica is also part of that system, right? That she's
He kind
heavily
of
invested in the women's national team and understands that whole journey as well. But it's also consistent with what Sandy Barber always talks about, and that's preparing our student athletes for a lifetime of impact, right? It's not preparing student athletes to be successful in 2016 for Penn State or to have a successful 4 or 5 years here. It's success for a lifetime. And so I think that's their reaction is really consistent with that value.
absolutely
Yeah.
100%
So before we move on to the next segment, because I want to get into where you were in 2015, where you were in March, and when COVID-19 struck and all that. But I want to share my screen here for just 1 second, and let me see if I can figure this out here. I found 2 videos of interviews that you gave. I'm not going to show the first one. The first one was you were being interviewed by a fellow teammate at Penn State. You were on campus for just a month.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really early. You were talking about your favorite artists and about how excited you were to be at Penn State. And if I showed them side by side, it would really show kind of your transformation and your maturity from then to now. You did a great interview when you were a freshman. But I was struck by this one that you did when you went pro, and your team shared this video. So I'm just gonna share this and play this. It's just a short clip.
I've always just really enjoyed competing and really just striving to be the best that I can be. Right now I'm really just trying to attack everything and every opportunity I get, but I, number one, am always trying to compete with myself and get better from one day to the next. And I think that's really helped me get to this point. That's something I love from the game, is the relationships that you can form and the connections that you can form that transcend sport. The whole foundation that this club is built off of, I think, is really great. And I just love that I wasn't just coming here to play soccer, but I was coming here to make a difference.
So we're gonna talk a little bit about that in just a second here, but talk about where you were. Middle of March, COVID-19 strikes. You were playing professionally. Talk about how that all played out for you.
Yeah, so I always knew that I wanted to play professionally overseas. Kind of, I think that was always just really exciting to me, like life experiences, but also just growing in soccer because obviously Europe plays very different than the United States way of playing. So I was just very fascinated and really wanted to learn just different ways that I can play and obviously have those types of experiences. So yeah, I was looking to play overseas and wasn't really getting much. I didn't have an agent, so I was kind of like, oh, I don't even know how to go about like finding a team or anything
Right.
like that. And actually, Tiffany Weimer, who's a former Penn State alum, also a women's soccer player, she coaches at my former club that I played at. In high school, and she had played for FC Northland. So she was like, "Oh, you're trying to play overseas? Let me get you in touch with the coach. Da 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 da. Maybe he'll be interested." And literally, like that opportunity just fell into my lap, and I was there within the next month playing with this team, and it was so awesome. I'm so grateful. I'm actually not with that team anymore.
Right.
But yeah, it was an amazing experience, and I'm glad I kind of got that little glimpse of what it would be like to be overseas and kind of by myself and can I handle it even type thing. So
Right.
so but yeah, so I was over in Denmark, right, literally when everything with COVID-19 was going down, and we were right about to start our season. So I hadn't actually played even an official game with the team yet. We had played a lot of friendlies. um, but yeah, it was literally going to be our opening weekend. And then the Friday
Mm.
before our Sunday game, they had canceled for the next 2 weeks. So I was like, okay, like it'll only be 2 weeks, da 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 da. And then it turned into, whoa, this is a lot longer than 2 weeks. And then they ended up sending me home, unfortunately, but obviously for great reasons, and I totally understand that's not an issue. But yeah, it was amazing. I got to meet a lot of really cool, amazing people, players, coaches. It was just an awesome experience. I love being overseas. I went to Copenhagen like every day just to explore and walk around and just see kind of a different culture. But yeah, I really loved it. But yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So, what struck me about the video was everything that you've just talked about previously in this interview about playing for others, about going out and kind of being part of a team and kind of the team success. It also struck me that you ended, not surprisingly, but that you ended with wanting to just come out here and make a difference, right? And I think the difference that you're talking about there, at least the way that I'm interpreting it, is way beyond the soccer pitch, right? It's about making a difference in other people's lives, making a difference in the world. Now that you have this platform as a professional athlete, what are the issues that are important to you?
Yeah, I think one that's the most important to me right now is just kind of the visibility that we're not seeing a lot in soccer, especially women's soccer. um, Racial visibility, obviously, um, especially in the United States. Soccer in America is a very white sport. um,
Right.
and even growing up, I was able to experience that just by being one of the few minorities on almost every team that I've played on. So that's certainly just been something that I've tried to learn more and understand. We had for International Women's Day at FCN, we got to pick like a female who we wanted to represent on the back of our jersey, and I chose Chris Ladon because she has also been talking a lot about the diversity in women's soccer, and kind of using her platform to show that inequality a little bit. So that's something that I really think is important. And there's actually a lot of racial abuse going on, even like specifically on the men's side within a lot of the men's leagues. There's a lot of racial abuse that a lot of the minority players are experiencing. So that's something I really want to try to use my platform to eliminate and try to make aware that this is not okay. But yeah, I'm also really into equal pay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm actually writing my graduate thesis on that, in women's sports. So I'm doing a lot of research on that, and obviously the women's team is fighting that lawsuit right now, which is just so important. But yeah, I think think there are just so many things that anybody could be tackling, you know, and these are just the few that are kind of close to my heart and what I think are special to me. But yeah, I think like at the end of the day, the impact and, you know, the change that I wanna see and be able to create is just, I don't know, like being there and being able to represent a group of women and girls who just want to play and have fun. And hopefully I can impact them just by them seeing me play at Penn State and, oh, she
Right.
looks like me, so I can play there and I can do that type thing. I think just that's so important, seeing that visibility and seeing that representation. Or like, oh, she's not just quick and fast, she's technical and can hit the ball well, that type of stuff. So that's something that I've really tried to take pride in, and yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. So I'm just trying to do a little bit of my part and do what I can do to help.
Great. So you mentioned that you're in a master's program. You're a 2018 graduate. You got your degree, your undergraduate degree in 2018. You were a PR and advertising major. Now you're pursuing your master's degree. You just signed with another team to play professionally in the Netherlands. So talk about kind of what's on the horizon for you.
Yeah, so FC Nordstrom, they never actually ended up giving me a contract, which totally fine. But yeah, so that made me a free agent. And then through my agent that I got, he was able to kind of reach out to a couple other clubs, see if anybody else was interested. And PSV is one of the biggest clubs kind of in Europe on the men's side. So it certainly caught my eye when they were interested. So yeah, they eventually offered me a contract, and it was really something that I couldn't really resist. So I'm so excited to be heading to Holland. I'm going June 30th. So time's a ticking here, but I'm super excited. I'm really looking forward to just continuing to grow and learn, both soccer wise, but also just as a person, and to kind of be able to be on my own again and see how that all pans out and explore Holland. My mom, she lived in Belgium for a year. She did like a study abroad when she was in high school. So she loves that I'm kind of near Belgium and Germany and all of that, and I can do a lot of exploring. So I'm really excited about that, yes. I'm also in my graduate program. I finished all my courses. Excuse me. I finished all my courses, so that's exciting, but now I just have to do my thesis. So I'm really trying to focus on that right now, kind of get it done, put my head down and grind. But yeah, the topic I'm doing is super exciting to me, so it's not that difficult to kind of do it. But yeah, hopefully I can get that done within the next sort of 6 months, maybe, we'll see. But yes, my mom is very like, you need to get that done. You need to get that done. She was originally an academic advisor. So she's always like, oh, are you doing your thesis? Are you doing your thesis? So it's something that I'm certainly trying to focus on. But yeah, I have a lot to look forward to. I'm super excited. I'm trying to be excited and hone all of that energy into being positive, because I'm a little nervous too. You know, just those nervous things, kind of, it's unknown. So but we'll see. I'm really excited to see what's ahead.
Well, look, yeah, being nervous is nothing that you've haven't dealt with in the past, right? Yeah, I think you said how did you say you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable?
Yep. Yes. Yep. That's one of my favorite quotes. Yeah. Get comfortable being uncomfortable and putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations, because obviously at the end of the day, that's how you're growing, and that's how you know that you're getting somewhere. So
Absolutely. All right, so we like to have a little bit of fun on coffee hour, so I'm going to throw some things at you, and let's see what your answers to these questions are. So first of all, what's your favorite professional soccer team besides the one you play for? Kind of, what's the team that was kind of your go-to team?
Liverpool, 100%.
Liverpool.
Yep. I'm a huge Liverpool fan. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's an outside back on that team. I absolutely love him. I love to just watch players that I hope to kind of emulate one day. But yeah, I love Liverpool so much. I can't wait to get to a game, hopefully at some point.
That's awesome. I'm new to professional soccer, so only for about the past 4 years, and so we follow the Portland team. So we're Timbers and Thorns fans. So
Yeah.
Yeah, when we lived out there, we had not season tickets, but we had like a mini packet, which if you bought like 5 tickets for the Timbers, it also came with 5 tickets for the Thorns. And I got to tell you, the Thorns games were so much better because what I think what people don't realize here is that the MLS league here in the United States is about probably 5 or 6 tier in terms of professional leagues in the world. The women's it's like it's top tier. Like those are the best players in the world. So we got to see the women's national players playing on that team. So that was a lot of fun.
And the
All right.
environment there in Portland is amazing.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. Providence Park is
Find that a lot of different places in the United States. So it's awesome.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, Sheetz or Wawa?
Ugh, neither. I am not like a gas station like restaurant person. That's like such a Pennsylvania thing or something. In Connecticut,
Right.
like, that doesn't really exist. So when I originally went there and everyone's like, wow, Sheetz, I was like, we're really gonna buy food at a gas station right now?
Right.
Like that was a little interesting to me. But yeah, I guess
How about
it would be Sheetz.
yeah. Yeah. How about your favorite spot on campus?
Oh, my favorite spot. I think it would have to be the in the library they have like a Hogwarts. They call it like Hogwarts because it there's like a lot of very long tables and the
Right.
lights are kind of mysterious looking. I did a lot of work in there and it was very quiet and nice, and just a lot of other people in there like grinding and getting their work done. So I think that was probably one of my favorite places. It was a good place to just get some work done, and I don't know, it was just funny that it was named
Yeah.
Hogwarts.
Yeah. Okay, TikTok or Snapchat?
Oh, Snapchat. I am not a TikTok person. I do like watching the TikToks, but the dances, I just don't understand them. I feel like nobody would normally dance like that. So it's just a little interesting to me. But yeah, I love Snapchat. Snapchat's like more my like generation, I think.
Right, right. So how about favorite building on campus?
Wow, favorite building on campus, that's a hard one. I would probably say like Rec Hall because
Yeah.
that was where I was so much and where I had some of my best laughs, with my friends, with my
Right.
teammates, in there. But yeah, wow, certainly not Haluba because we did a lot of runs in there, a lot of terrible ones.
Right.
So yeah, certainly not Haluba, but yeah,
Yeah.
probably Rec Hall.
All right. Now I know you live in the pizza capital of the world, but how about your favorite pizza place in State College?
Ooh, probably Snap. The new
Snap.
Snap has opened up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that you can
Uh,
make your own, and I like that they got a variety. You can get like the grain bowls as well if you're not feeling the pizza or all of
right.
that. I'd probably say Snap. Yeah, I love pizza.
Good. How about Netflix or Hulu?
Oh, that's a tough one. I right now I would say Hulu because I'm watching like Little Fires Everywhere. I'm watching like a ton of series on Hulu right now. But Netflix is like the original, like the OG, like Friends
Yeah.
is on there, all of that. But I guess at the moment Hulu.
Okay. All right. Now I think I know the answer to this one, but Starbucks or Dunkin'?
Ooh. I think I'm gonna have to say Starbucks. I'm not a coffee
Really?
person. Yeah, I'm
So
not.
I
I
was
don't drink
all right. I was thinking New England. That's like Dunkin' country up there.
Dunkin'. Yeah, Dunkin'. Yeah, it's huge. We have one like every 5 feet apart. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not a coffee person. But when I do want like a tea or something, I drink a lot of green tea. I probably would go to
Yeah.
Starbucks and grab it.
Yeah.
So,
So besides women's soccer, your favorite Penn State sport?
ooh, that's tough. Um, I would say the men's wrestling. They're just so
Men's
legit,
wrestling.
and it's
Yeah.
it's so much fun to watch. After we won in 2015, we got to go to one of their matches in the BJC,
Right.
and obviously I was a freshman, so I never experienced anything like that before, and I was like, this is out of this world. It's like, it's so theatrical with all of the like all of the myths when each of them come out and they running out to the music and everyone's like two like, it was one of the most insane environments I've ever been in. So and they're also all really great people. I really get to know them because we're in rec hall, they're in rec hall, we get to see a lot of them, and some of my really good friends happen to be wrestlers. So they're really cool people, as well as awesome athletes, which is sometimes hard to find because I don't know, people got
Ellie Jean on Penn State Alumni Coffee Talk.
Oh,
Ellie?
sorry, somebody, let me just mute them.
But yeah, it was really. So yeah.
Oh, I keep them. All right, there we go. So sorry about that.
No worries.
All right. So what is your favorite Creamery ice cream flavor?
I miss the Creamery so much. I actually was just back in State College because I had to clean out my apartment, and I was hoping the Creamery was going to be open, but it's not, or it wasn't, I don't believe. But I would say, what's the mint flavor? I love mint chip.
Bittersweet mint?
Yes, that is my absolute favorite. And I absolutely love that it's not a size. They just give you like a pound of ice cream on the cones. That's probably my favorite thing. I'm like, just give me a pound of bittersweet mint, please.
Yeah.
And that'll be my entire meal for the day. But yeah.
Okay, so let's do some word association. I'm going to say a word, and you tell me what pops to mind. The Nittany Lion.
Excitement.
Coach Domback.
Amazing.
For the glory.
Of Penn State.
Class of 2020.
Oh, great people.
And we are.
Penn State. Absolutely.
Yeah. Ellie, thanks for joining me on Coffee Hour. I know we have some people on joining us here, and I know there are some more people on Facebook, but we have some time for questions if you're willing to take some questions.
Of course. Thank you for having me on here. It's been so much fun, like actually getting to have a conversation. I know that we got to speak a little bit a couple of weeks ago, but it's been nice to chat with you a little bit. So thank you for having me. And yes, I'm down for questions. Any questions?
Absolutely. Does anybody have any questions for Ellie today? If so, you could just unmute yourself and ask your question.
Anybody? How are you doing right now during this pandemic?
Are you talking directly to me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm doing just fine. Missing people, missing being on campus and kind of the energy that you get from being on and working on a college campus.
They
Certainly would have
green though, right? Green on Friday.
Yeah, green on Friday. So that's some people are excited about that. Some people are even a little more nervous about what green means. But but I'm looking forward to the day when our kind of Penn State family can get back together and celebrate with each other safely and in a healthy way.
A great day.
Yeah. Certainly that the meeting we had a couple of weeks ago, I would have loved to have done that face to face. So yeah. So a question coming in here on Facebook is, so how about how do you plan on staying involved as an alumna of Penn State?
Yeah, I think I'm absolutely down to be involved with the Alumni Association. I also have the opportunity to be a part of some really great orgs on campus. Obviously LP is one of them. So kind of just staying in touch with everybody on that aspect, and staying in touch with the women's team and staying up to date on them, and hopefully they get to play this fall. I'm really, really crossing my fingers for that. So just continuing to have those relationships and continuing to keep those relationships going. as maybe I'm not on campus or I'm not at Penn State, but just to stay involved and to stay up to date on everything that's happening. Hopefully that is something I'm willing to do. I'm certainly willing to try. So we'll see. But yeah, Penn State will always have a special place in my heart. So yes.
That is great. Well, Ellie, it was so great to talk to you. Thanks for joining me on Coffee Hour. I'm glad we finally got this scheduled and got it done, and was able to help share your story with other Penn Staters. I know that they'll find inspiration in your journey and all the great things that you've done during your time at Penn State. But you've done so many great things to date. I still think your best is yet to come, and I'm so excited to watch your journey moving forward.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been great to talk with you and just to have a conversation this morning. But yeah, thank you. And also, I think it would be really cool to get involved with the PSU alum, just because I feel like there probably aren't a lot of former student athletes in it and everything. So anything that maybe if you need my help in any way about connecting more former athletes with the Alumni Association, because I know we've always been in this crazy bubble of ours. So yeah, if there's any way that I can help you, please let me know.
Well, you can certainly count on that. We'll definitely be reaching out for you. So, and thank you to everybody who joined us on Facebook and here in Zoom. We will be back next Wednesday with another edition of Coffee Hour. So join us then. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
We are
Penn State.